Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Junix.
Morning, Dr. Abati. How is your day?
Morning.
Morning so far. Good morning, Rufai.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Today we are Italian. How are you?
Yeah, very well.
Perfect.
Looking fabulous. Thanks for yesterday.
Yes, I don't know what
grateful.
I did, but oh yeah, about the
lovely work.
Yes, I can't wait to. I would like a picture of where you guys put it in your living room.
Yeah,
Would you do that for me?
I'll get it framed.
That would be lovely. Well, all right. Should we begin?
But you might not get that picture now.
Why?
Because my room is filled with arts already. But I'll get a place.
No, I want one, really.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, let's begin by throwing to this video by celebrating Nigerian superstar Davido with this video of his performance last night at Jimmy Fallon, where he performed Feel.
Calling you tonight, I want to make you sure, make me know the fight. I don't want sleep alone, wanna hold you tight. It's hard for my eyes, but I'll be alright. Oh my laptop, oh my back, oh my keton, the baby, oh my sheet on. Say them go big, them go run it down, them go hold it, them go. Say them go big, them go run it down, them go hold it, them go.
Oh, one of my favorite songs by far. What would we say? Happy birthday to Davido. He's done us proud, but he's only 31. I was shocked when I learned he was 31 today. Happy birthday, Davido. Well, all right.
To him. He's Scorpio, right?
I don't know those star signs. Is that Scorpio? What does that stand for? What does that stand for? I think you guys are strong.
November 21.
Yeah.
Scorpion.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I know what that means. Sting. Well, Davido has been stinging them. Well done, Davido. Well, all right. Well, let's continue on what's trending. Former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo on Monday called on African countries to practice a form of democracy, which he described as Afro-democracy. Obasanjo made the comment during a two-day event organized by the Africa Progress Group in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. He also called on African countries to discard the liberal democracy introduced to the continent by Western countries. Let's take a quick listen before we come back for a discussion.
We have a system of government in which we have no hands to define and design, and we continue with it even when we know that it is not working for us. Those who brought it to us are now questioning the rightness of their invention, its deliverability and its relevance today without reform. The essence of any system of government is the welfare and the well-being of the people, all the people. Here we must interrogate performance of democracy in the West where it originated from.
Well, all right, this is not the first time former President Obasanjo is calling for us to interrogate this form of a democracy that was introduced to us by the West. Well, in the same vein, though, Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi is towing the same line at a media parley in Abuja. Obi stated that democracy is not universal and that Nigeria must adopt the type of democracy that suits its society. He also reiterated that he is not desperate to be the president of Nigeria, but is desperate to see Nigeria work.
Democracy, as is being practiced in the Western world, does not have universal acceptability and applicability. You have to look at what suits you. For example, if you look at democracy in America, where we even copied this presidential system of government, there's so many things that we've abandoned. If you're president of America, you can't just, I've never heard in America that they bought vehicles for legislators. You can't just buy cars anyhow I have never heard you can't buy cars for first lady anyhow. There's no, in fact, in America, there's no office called Office of First Lady. It exists in name. So these are issues. So we must look at what suits us. Again, look at how we can manage our own expense and everything. So what Obasanjo is saying that we must not adopt this and even adopt it wrongly as we are doing it today.
Yes, we must question the performance of democracy. I mean, Peter will be right there, hit the nail on the head. I mean, we've been talking about this, budget proposal, allocation, and the type of democracy that is practiced in the West. And it's so different. And he also talked about the fact that, okay, if the president even wants to, have a meal, he will not be using taxpayers' money, as we have seen recently in all of these budgets that have been allocated. They'll use their own money to fund a dinner. So I think it is important that they've said that we should try to adopt the democracy that would fit our society. Dr. Abati.
Okay, this is an old argument.
Yes.
Once upon a time, we used to talk in Nigeria, some people used to talk about what they call homegrown democracy.
Homegrown democracy.
Homegrown democracy. President Obasanjo yesterday used the phrase Afro-democracy.
Yeah.
And what he was saying basically is that we didn't design this liberal, Western liberal style democracy. And since we had no input into the design, the context, it looks like it's something that we don't understand. Well, the issue here, I like to quote Farid Zakaria.
One of my favorite
He's
journalists.
a columnist, television presenter, but he has a PhD from Oxford.
Yes.
He's also very prolific. He wrote a book called The Future of Freedom, a Liberal Democracy at Home and Abroad. What he did is to flip the coin, to interrogate the idea of democracy as, a catalyst for stability in societies, if not liberty. And he checked from South Korea to America, and he found that, look, democracy, yes, in terms of form, is there, but in terms of the practice, it takes different forms. Democracy in South Korea, he argues, developed from liberalizing autocracy. And so you have different patterns. The kind of democracy they have in China is not the kind of democracy that they have in Russia. It's not the kind of democracy that they have in the UK. So we have seen different patterns, and he tries to give us those examples. But where is the answer? I think the answer is provided in another set of books by another scholar, Ruchi Sharma, who is the author of Breakout Nations. I think it's a 2012 book. And then he also wrote The Rise and Fall of Nations, looking at different countries, the kind of patterns of development, emerging markets, how they develop. What did he find? That leadership is very critical. Leadership, the kind of priorities that leaders set. Here in Nigeria, if you like, call it a Nigerian democracy, if you like, call it whatever. What we lack in terms of practice are the values at the center of the democratic ideal itself. And what are those values? Checks and balances. Mr. P2B was referring to checks and balances. That when he was saying in the US, you can't just go and take public funds to go and buy fanciful car for yourself. Because the system will not allow it.
Absolutely
because
not.
Institutions are in place.
Yes.
What is democracy about? The right to choose. Freedom of choice. Competition. Mass participation. President Obasanjo said, well, liberal democracy allows a place where a few people will just hijack government and then the majority will be left out of it, and then the opinion of the minority will dominate. If that minority is an enlightened minority, if they have a sense of the common good, then of course they will be able to carry the majority along. So I think many of our countries in Africa have failed because we don't have the institutions, we don't have the values, we don't even respect the ideal of democracy. What we are practicing truly is not democracy.
Yes.
So the option, what is the option? President Obasanjo is saying we should look inwards to look at patterns within our traditions that we can use. Well, maybe those original things are there, but President Obasanjo is also an intellectual, and he has been in this business of throwing up issues for public conversation since he left government the first time when he set up the Africa Leadership Forum. Now, he's doing this under the auspices of the Africa Progress Forum, where a number of political leaders and scholars met in Abeokuta, and they are throwing up ideas. So the conversation is healthy.
Yes.
But I think leadership is key, values very important. Unless we get those values right,
Yeah.
we won't
I
get
love
it.
that. Leadership is key. Obasanjo is saying that we should look inward and outward and see how we can adopt another form of government that can suit us. Rufai.
So, speaking of former President Olusegun Obasanjo Baba, with due respect, when you say leadership is key, Dr. Apati, Baba is a firm indication of why reasons like democracy have not worked in Nigeria.
How so?
He tried to look for a third term, which was against the democratic tenets. I tried to tweak the constitution. He prevailed over very flawed elections.
He denied that too. He said he had no hand in that garbage.
And anyway, he prevailed over very flawed elections that the president that came in, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, confirmed to us that the elections that brought me were fraud with irregularities. It was in his era we had the 24 million mark elections, where presidential candidates will always get 23 or 24 million mark elections. One of the worst elections in Nigeria's history was under him. Let's call it spade a spade. You know how terrible that elections were in 2007? Let me tell you how terrible it is. The Supreme Court's ruling ended 4-3. 4 in favor of, 3 against the elections. 3 judges out of the 7 judges said the elections should be cancelled. We don't talk about that judgment enough. 4 in favor. I'm not sure Supreme Court presidential ruling did that neck and neck in a while. So that's why a lot of people have been saying, with due respect, President Obasanjo does not have the gravitas to be able to say this.
No, not gravitas.
I mean,
maybe you mean moral right.
The moral right, to be able to say this. Because in his own time, what did he do? And I come back to your point, Dr. Abati. It's all about leadership. You see, all of this we are saying democracy has not worked and all of that is incumbent on who becomes the leader. So let me now quote a book for you, Oji. A certain writer and thinker, Francis Fukuyama, was too hasty in 1992 when he wrote the book, The End of History. Because he saw that once the wall had fallen, if there was an acceptance of liberal democracy around the world, then that was going to start the end of the human evolution. But he saw that he was proven wrong because the outlier were the position of the leaders. See what America had under Trump and the likes.
Right.
So he now wrote another revised edition recently, itemizing the fact that it is also leadership, that tutelar head that makes it. If Nigeria want to change today, if the president is ready, Nigeria will change. So the reason why I'm saying it's not working is because we don't have disciplined leaders.
That's it.
And they should all take the blame when necessary.
All right, Rufai. Well, let's head over to Abia State now, where the governor of the state, Alex Otti, has come under fire after a report alleging that he spent the sum of 927 million naira within 3 months on refreshments, meals, settlement of honorarium, allowances, and welfare packages began circulating online. The news is coming after a report titled Abia State Third Quarter 2023 Budget Performance was posted on the state government's website. Further breakdown of the budget also revealed that 737 million naira was spent to buy vehicles, while 362 million naira was spent on the purchase of trucks and another 400 million naira on the purchase of buses. The report, however, showed that only 25 million naira was spent by the government for the renovation of public schools in the state, generating reactions on social media. Well, Rufai, Dr. Abati, this story has been debunked by the Abia State government. This is a statement from the press secretary. I believe Sports Doctor has done a great breakdown, and he wrote here, the facts are shown as stated below. 1. The total amount spent so far by the entire government of Abia State for refreshments and meals for the period is 223 million naira. 2. The figure above is as captured in all the ministries, departments, and agencies of government. 3. Please note that this figure is for the entire state and not for the office of the governor, as being erroneously portrayed. 4. The stated figure covers expenses for special events such as retreats, conferences, and related events. 5. For welfare, the Abia State government has so far spent the sum of 397 million naira. 6. The welfare expenditure is in line with the State Fiscal Transparency, Accountability and Sustainability Program, an initiative of the federal government. 7. Also note that the welfare expenditure covers all the ministries, departments, and agencies, and not just the governor's office as wrongly alleged. Finally, 8. Expenses under welfare deal with issues of health, rehabilitation, and public emergencies. Well, let me take another tweet from Nefertiti, who, in response to the secretary, wrote, Alex Otti spending 223 million naira on feeding in 3 months and a meager 25 million on public schools is never okay. Fixing roads, hospitals, and bridges are good, but the welfare of your people, especially your children, is thrice important. He should do well by cutting down on unnecessary spending. Dr. Abati, over to you. I mean, Rufai here is even an advocate for good education. I do not understand these budgets when they put this meager 25 million naira on education, renovation. There is a problem in Abia State. A lot of people have complained on social media, even just, analysts like you and I, talking about the fact that the school system and the schools, the public school system, especially in Nigeria at large, emergency should be placed on that at this point.
Well, I don't think that the gentleman we were quoting, he hasn't debunked anything.
Well, it wasn't 920. The entire amount is not 927 million. They're saying it's 223 million on refreshments.
Okay,
That's
the information
part,
is taken from their website.
Yes.
And in any case, he's trying to say that it's not just the governor's office. That it is what all of them, all the ministries and departments and agencies in Abia State have been eating. Refreshments, events.
I heard you question about your chicken. You want chicken, Dr. Abati from Lagos State. I can't believe you.
No,
I heard you.
It's cow. That they will make it cow.
You can't be asking for chicken.
Since it is palliative.
No, this is not even funny. It is so appalling, Dr. Abati.
Anyway, in Abia State, I think gluttony is not allowed. They are eating too much. If they are spending 223 million on eating, I mean, they should try and cut the budget for refreshments and meals.
Come on.
I know, the governor is a very enlightened man, former banker, former newspaper columnist, he has written so many brilliant essays on these subjects. Now that he's in the saddle as governor, he himself should force those gluttonous ministries, departments, and agencies in Abia State to be less gluttonous.
Yes.
If they have events, they should eat less.
Oh, use their money.
In the same state, where 25 million on public schools.
That is horrible.
Dilapidated structures. Some of those schools don't have roofs. That money that they are using to eat jollof rice and pepper soup and drink at public functions, if they had used that money is enough to renovate quite a number of school buildings.
Public schools there,
and
yes.
that would be a better thing to do. Now, also, they are spending 397 million on welfare. Welfare, what kind of welfare is that? Because when you hear welfare in government, it means money that is distributed up and down. So that's also a lot of money. Well, the gentleman who spoke on behalf of the governor, we say the welfare is not only governor's office, it's ministries, departments and agencies. No, they should focus more on service, on work, rather than pockets. 737 million to buy motor vehicles. Okay, what happened to the vehicles that were in that state?
We've been asking this
before the Alex Otti administration took over, and then 305 million on honorarium and allowances at meetings. These are government officials that receive their salary. So when they go for meetings, they will eat, they will drink, they will still collect honorarium.
Take away.
No, Governor Alex Otti should just take a look at this. And, all the state governments should know that starting with Lagos and now Abia, People are now going to do that website, procurement website of every state to go and check what government is doing with their money. And I think it's a good development.
I love it.
And I hope that nobody will go and remove that website, because, as I said earlier, this was done by the Nigerian Governors Forum when Fayemi was chairman. SFTAS, right?
Yes.
Supported by the World Bank.
SIFTAS.
Yes. So they have to sustain it because the people have the right to know. Schools are not okay. People are collecting honorarium.
No.
People are collecting refreshment. No, there should be less gluttonous in Abia State.
Absolutely.
And the people of Abia State should pay more attention. And in other states, I hope, Ojineka, you have more stories. You have more stories from other states. We will be here one day. They will report that one state spent 1 billion naira.
No, we are going to keep reporting.
refreshments.
I mean, this, like you said, the governor has to take a holistic look at this budget. We are not in support of this gluttonous act. The schools must be revamped. There must be more money put into education across all states. Well, let's take a look at Enugu State by highlighting this video showing a truck stuck in mud and effectively blocking a crucial route while plying the Nsukka-Enugu Expressway. In the video, commuters could be heard calling on the federal government to come to their aid.
This is Enugu-Nsukka Expressway. Where woman being carry motor to the pass, so now be this so. My caterpillar is supposed to pass this kind of place. But see, now woman being motor. How many feet here? This is about 8 feet. This place reach 8 feet or 10 feet. See the depth of this place. Don't chop one trailer complete. So you can see. Now trailer there inside pit like this. So every year when I go do budget for each road, when I carry the money put for pocket. Senators, they said they won't buy motor for them. One motor, 150 million. That 150 million never fill this place. This is Federal Road. Enugu-Nsukka Expressway. Let God judge you people. Look at suffering, look at road. Just look at people. Some are here 5 days, some are here 7 days, some are here 3 days.
This is unfortunate, Rufai. I mean, look at the road. That's the road they're going to use that nice car to ride.
And that's the deplorable state. And I would have thought that the Nigerian supplementary budget will have covered roads like this. Yes. Rather than another 1.5 billion to buy a car for a position that is not recognized by its constitution, like the wife of the president. I would have also thought, the Benin bypass road area.
Yes.
There was a video we took
that story. It is a
so sad
important
commentary on our country. Yeah. And when we now look at the line item of the budget, we see the misnomer that goes on there. I mean, I'm even particularly more surprised, and I'm going to be very hard on Governor Otti. Governor Otti, with due respect, sir, you were the one that used to write all those glowing back page articles on this day. You were a regular columnist, and these were the things you talked about. So we'd like to ask you, what happened, Governor Otti? We need better representation. We remember all the ideas you espoused at the back page of this day. What happened? Why are we seeing all of this? Clothes for meals. I think you should cancel all of that. You guys don't even know that the people are suffering. And this is a Labour Party governor, the only Labour Party governor in Nigeria.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
I think the Labour Party, for the sake of integrity, should also ask him questions. The Labour Party is saying they are the new opposition in town and they want the Labour. Ask him questions because this should not be. So it's a challenge to Governor Otti and his political party, just like we throw challenge to everybody. Yeah,
challenge to Governor Otti, also the Enugu State Governor, Dr. Bati. I only have a minute.
Quickly,
I wanted to.
That valley on the road. I hope that the Minister of Works, Senator Dave Umahi, will see it, because he says there is a new policy on roads. He's the Minister of Works. He's in charge on federal roads. We can't afford to have a road like that.
Unacceptable.
10 feet deep.
Unacceptable. This is dangerous.
And this is not the only one. There are other roads that are like this. Rufa has mentioned Benin bypass. There are others that are just like that. So that new policy, that concrete sub-base, before laying of pavement, concrete pavement, community relations, that Senator David Umahi has been talking about. He has an assignment on this Enugu-Nsukka. No, I don't want to use the expressway. This is not an expressway.
This is a ditch, a complete ditch. Look at that. I mean, look at our Nigerian brothers and sisters suffering. And this actual route, it's a major route and it's blocking the commuters for hours. Unacceptable. Nigerians cannot keep suffering like this. This needs to be reviewed urgently. We do not have time to take take our final story. I'll try to take that tomorrow. I'd like to thank you both for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's all I have for you on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.